Yeah, the 10,000 people watch it. Dude, that's so funny.
Dude, Nick was like totally fucked over that. He was like, "What do you mean? There's 10,000 people watching?" His heart went.
Yeah. You know what's funny is that he totally believed you how famous you were.
Not yet, my friend. Hopefully
Yeah,
not.
it was so hilarious. All right, let me bring this video up.
Really flattering, honestly.
Mm-hmm. No, it's really
cool.
That
to be true.
I guess while we're waiting for Tanner to show up, we're started. We're live now, so it's all good. I just want to bring this feed up. I think this is like the most challenging. Oh, there it is. Just enlarge it so we can see the stuff.
He's watching on Facebook.
He's watching. Yeah, he's there.
He said, "I'm watching you."
And he's like messaging. He's like, "I'm totally watching you." I was like, "You're supposed to be in the thing,
bro. Post the link.
Click the link.
I'm in Zoom.
Oh, he's in the Zoom. Hold on. Let me check him in the thing.
Oh, okay.
Attendees. Promote the panelists. All right, Tanner. Relax. You've been promoted.
There he is.
You got a sweet headband. Oh,
finally
dude,
got a
headgear.
promotion.
I'll be right back.
I'm like sitting there watching, and I'm like, what's going on?
Hattie New Year's. Everybody's got.
It is a Hattie New Year's, right? Like, yeah, everybody has their headwear.
Oh, you guys got the memo. Good
job. What's going on? It's New Year's Eve morning, afternoon. Noon here in Hawaii. It's like 3 p.m. in Colorado and 2 p.m. in California. What do you guys want to get into today?
New Year, same you.
New Year, same you. I agree. 100%. I agree 100%. I just recorded a podcast episode. The episode is called Everyday Resolutions. I
like that.
Yeah, it's just so much stuff. And you can see the posts, like they're already happening. Like, I'm going to change all 42 million freaking details from my life in 24-hour period. No, you're not. I love you so much. You're not. I agree. You're not. I agree.
So happy this year's over. And it's like, well, tomorrow's still your life.
So one of my favorite things to say, I learned this, I don't know if it's at LS that I learned this, but I remember somebody, I think it was Tim, was like, Mondays don't suck. You suck. And I was like, oh.
Yep.
That's like, intense. And it's just like, no, it's like, oh, I hate New Year's. New Year's is stupid. New Year's isn't stupid. You're stupid. Every time you assign value to that, like you're just assigning yourself to that thing. So I hope everybody that's listening understands that. So anything that you are discontent with, like you're just giving that to you like over and over, and learn to change your values or your relationship with that. And like, man, I love Mondays now. And there was definitely a time when Mondays was the stupidest thing ever. And then I just realized it was the situations that I was placing myself in on Mondays that was, less smart. All right.
Well, if you don't position yourself right on Sunday, Mondays do suck. But
for sure.
If you position yourself right on Sunday and do a little bit of planning, either mentally or physically, or ideally both, you set your Monday up to be basically like a launch pad into Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday, and then it's Saturday and you're ready to chill again or work on whatever outside of that. So your Mondays, if your Mondays suck, it's because you're being irresponsible on your Sunday. Pay attention to your Sunday if your Monday sucks.
Well, it's still you that sucks.
I think it's still
Monday's just a day.
Yeah.
Monday's just a day. I mean,
Mondays,
there's no such thing as a good day or a bad day. It's just a day. It's you that sucks, like Ryan says. But yeah,
Dustin brings up a good point though. Like I've never been a big fan of routine, right? Sort of like want to go with the flow and wing it. But I found so much value, right? To that point, the days are all laid out the same. We know what's going to come. And I'm no expert at this by any means. My shit's still all over the place. But like, at least by being a little bit more proactive about what's happening, what you have coming up in your life, planning. And I think that's one of the things that people, I don't know about mistakes, but one of the things where people get tripped up, right? Is it's like, it's the new year and I'm going to go do this and I'm going to join the gym. And it's like, yeah, but if for the last 365, you've been saying you don't have time to work out, like what's going to change, right? Like most people commit to new habits without actually figuring out when and where that stuff's going to fit into their life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a huge thing. Like you got to reel it up a level and be like, all right, where does this actually fit in and why? Versus like taking a good run at it for a couple of weeks and then being like, well, fuck, my life is still the same. My schedule is still the same.
Right.
I never actually planned for any sort of change.
Mm-hmm. It's like changing your diet drastically. I'm going to change my diet on the 1st. But like you open your refrigerator on the 1st and it's just, you know, tortillas and peanut butter in there. Like that's the last thing that's left. And if you went ham the night before, you're going to eat the tortillas and peanut butter as soon as you wake up because you got to get something in there to sop up all that, whatever it is you put in your body the night before. It's like that Sunday planning Darren's talking about. If New Year's is on a Sunday, like you got to really go in there. If you're going to do Whole30 on the 15th, then you might want to go on the 8th and like empty your refrigerator of all the stuff and like put new stuff in there that's going to be in congruency with whatever it is you want to do. Mm-hmm. And it's like these New Year's, it could be as like, and so I was just talking about this today. It's like, instead of saying, okay, like the lose weight is super popular or whatever, I'm going to lose weight. So it's like, okay, what's 100 mini goals you could make that directly go with that? And like, maybe instead of starting the weight loss on the first day of the year, like just download Google Calendar. Oh, go grocery shopping and rearrange the fridge. Like start by that and just like, and then at the end of the year, you can look at this list and instead of failing this one massive goal that's got zero planning in it, you've accomplished all these other tiny little tertiary goals. And you got to like release some dopamine, like in the process, to at least know what it feels like to be an accomplished person, you know, and like really get the science involved and like the way our bodies are put together and the way that we're intrinsically built to be able to reward ourselves like that, you know? And so it's just like, it's easy, you know, to download an app. It's easy to like open your refrigerator and just dump it into the garbage can. It's not worth anything anyways. It's just peanut butter and jelly in one jar. It's like, let's be real about it. So
God knows I've thrown away plenty of vegetables that I haven't eaten.
Yeah.
That's a good point, right? People are like, oh my, well, I bought this food. I can't throw it away. Why would I do that?
Oh, I just threw away half a garden because I chose not to eat it. Like, yeah. It's the same thing. Why behave differently about it?
Well, I think there's a ton of value in what you're saying there, Ryan, and breaking things into small steps. Like it's, I mean, I've really noticed that since we're talking about New Year's, this last year for me and some of the goals that I've set for myself, the ones that actually stick and the ones I accomplish are the ones that I find ways to break into small steps. Like you said, just take one step, download the app, and we get that little dopamine release. We feel some sort of accomplishment, even though it's just a tiny bit. That's enough to keep us going to the next step. And it's like, it makes a big difference in the long term. And, you know, just few little steps over time begin to accumulate. And next thing you know, it's accomplished. Like my wife and I were just talking about today we've been doing sort of a modified version of the Dave Ramsey, I don't even remember what it's called. Whatever. We're fixing our finances the Dave Ramsey way, mostly.
Financial peace.
That's it. Yeah. And we've almost paid off 50 grand in debt this year.
Oh, dude.
But we didn't write a check for 50 grand. That's my point. Like, it was all these little tiny things that we did that have accumulated over the entire year. That is like, I'm freaking pumped. I'm all psyched up today because it's like, holy crap, we did that. And actually, it's only 10 months. It wasn't even a whole year. It's like incredible.
Me and you're gonna have a conversation after this because that's like that's my biggest goal this year. I invested in coaching and masterminds and production of stuff, and I was like, all right. So it's like the new thing that's like, I can do this without assistance. I have everything I need, and let's like start paying away some of the stuff that I owe to the universe. You know, let's start holding myself accountable to these things and start paying it back. And you know, and I believe that like this is one of the ways, just getting on here and every day, like us being real. And where's Nick at? You watching Nick? You out there? Is he hiding?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw his name pop up.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Man.
This can be number 1 of 52 steps this year
Yeah,
toward whatever we want to make it, right?
Fuck
for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah,
No, same thing.
I'll give you one that I know Ryan will appreciate. I'm chopping carrots. You guys obviously noticed.
No, I saw your knife over there, and I was like,
I'm doing a little bit of work here while we're talking.
perfect.
But I vowed to my wife that I would not buy another book or another training course this year.
Ooh.
So in the last week, I bought all sorts of books and training courses to get it in.
It's that tax write-off, man. You got to get that stuff in before the end of the year.
However, I'm like, no more. Like, I got a bookshelf full of books. I've got a library full of courses, some of which I haven't even started. And I'm like, okay, this is the year of implementation. Like, there's sort of a freeing thing to be like, awesome. I know, like, no more. There's not one more course that I need that's going to unlock the keys to the kingdom, right? Like, it doesn't work that way. There's some really good marketers out there. However, I know, like, cool, I've got so much, and I'm excited about how accomplished I'm going to feel at the end of the year actually going through all this stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's like a cancel. I feel like I cancel my Audible account like once every 3 months because I'll have, I've got a laundry list, just like Tanner's saying. I have so many books to read, but then somebody's like, "Bro, Dustin, you got to read this book on what was the last one you said, the On Fire or something?"
Oh, Stealing Fire.
And then like
Fire,
me and Dustin are like this an amazing conversation, and like the dopamine's running, and we get all excited, and we're all high. It's like, beep,
Bye now.
Bye now, and then it just sits there. It's literally, and I'm not gonna bump it to the top of the list. Like the next day, it's the next day when that stuff kind of wears off, and so dopamine kind of goes both good and bad. Like you can get addicted to it just like anything else, and it is like. The people who are selling you the stuff, just like Tanner's saying, these marketers know how to trigger your dopamine response. You get it to fire off and be like, 10x my business. I don't even know what
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Give this guy my
10
money.
times. It's going to be exactly 10 times. Oh man, what if it's only 9 times? Ooh, who cares? If it's double, like that's pretty badass. But still, at the same time, don't get sucked into the hype machine. You have every single thing you need to be successful in your life. There's a person in your life that knows how to do the next thing that you want to do, or Google knows. Tanner's freaking cooking the roast right now. His mom's grandmother freaking taught him to chop the ends off.
Did you cut the ends off?
So
I'm leaving the ends on this one.
Good man.
yeah.
I'm breaking all the rules and the recipes.
Deserve it. Okay. In other news, it's I think about a week of sobriety for me, and I've been going through some really interesting withdrawals, man. Really
Tell us about it.
really strange emotional stuff where I feel a lot of times I'll feel I'm pretty much on the other side of it now. The first 3 days are really fucked up emotionally. It's like I feel like a shell of myself, and it's because what we're talking about, the dopamine and my serotonin that comes from putting these substances in my body, I'm no longer triggering those responses. So my dopamine and my serotonin has been really low. And it's really been, it's been affecting me in interesting ways, from the way that I process information, the way that I share information. Also, it's been changing my body on like a very biological sense. Like, because of some of the work that I've been doing in the last couple of years, I'm like really in tune with my body. Like I can feel shifts. I feel myself get sick 2 days before I show any symptoms, really in tune with this organism. And the shifts that I've been feeling since I quit mind-altering substances, like my BO has changed, my breath has changed, my sleep patterns are so fucked, at least until I fully detox. Like I'm sleeping like 4 hours a night, dude, and I was sleeping 8 hours a night for months, and now I'm lucky if I get 4 hours of sleep, and I wake up covered in sweat and I stink like a motherfucker. For what reason, I have no idea.
Well, it's probably because that stuff's like it's detoxing, like that hard detox, and that's
Oh,
more
absolutely.
than just, yeah. So that all that stuff's coming out, and it's kind of like I used to smoke, and then when you quit smoking, like it's like in a matter of a day or two, like you walk in, your clothes don't smell like shit, and then Jerry, the guy who used to bum smokes off you, was like, "Hey man, you got to smoke," and he stinks. He smells so bad, and you're like, "Man, have you always smelled like this?" The fact that he has, you just don't notice it. And so, like, I think that's like and like metaphorically, like that's a part of that detox, is like realizing that, like, oh my goodness, like even your brain like clicking in, like, oh, I needed to smell Jerry to really click that next thing, that next part of that evolution is really interesting. Be
Justin,
right back, Sig.
I'm right there with you. The same thing. The emotions maybe not quite as noticeable for me. However, manifestation through my physicality, like my body and biology, has been very noticeable to me. The sweating, the night sweats.
You get the night sweats too, man? I thought I was the only one.
Well, I'm through it. Like, I feel like I'm like, it didn't happen last night. Like, that was the first night since Christmas. However, like the BO was like, I was like, geez, what is that? Where did that come from?
How is smoking weed preventing this process?
No kidding. And I my wife actually looked it up. You guys know of Louise Hay? She whatever. She connects physical things with emotions. She died, I think, last year or the year before. But anyway, she has a book called Heal Your Body, I believe, or something like that. Anyway, she looked it up, and it actually, it's liver. Your liver detoxing causes like that extremely pungent BO. Interestingly enough. So yeah, I've been experiencing that as well. And like, also like I had probably some headaches, and that have kind of gone away now too, a little bit. It kind of felt like the sort of ketosis headache a little bit, just kind of a mild background headache. And what was the other thing? The energy. Like I had a big dip, like in the first probably 2-3 days.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, I'm all lit up.
More energy, right? More.
Yeah, tons of energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My first day, I didn't even get out of bed, man. I like day after Christmas, I just pretty much played video games almost the entire day. And I was a zombie. Like, my girlfriend tried to talk to me. I'm just like, go away.
Ooh.
Interesting.
Well, I know there's a subject that we're not bringing up today, but that's an interesting connection. I'm just going to leave it at that, Dustin.
Well, so that's you saw the way communicate inner circle group that you created. We have a small group that Ryan hosts, and it's just kind of brand new, but I really like the platform.
Yeah.
I decided to get really, really deep. The first thing that I said was really close to home, but I actually noticed later on the intentional like victim space that I was in, and my language was so interesting because I'm pretty aware of my wording, and I choose them quite intentionally usually. However, in being that victim state, though, I was able to get a lot of information from other people, and I don't know, it ended up working out really well, but I really enjoyed going back and reading what I said. It's like,
it was super fascinating. I was like, man, and I forgot that you guys had started this thing, but now like 2 and 2, it makes so much sense. And how much of that victim language part of that detox as well. Because we always put this stuff, it's always about the substance. So I just got to get the alcohol out of my body. No, like that's the first layer. Like what else is under there that wants to get out too? What are their fears and pain and like physical or emotional, like wants to get out from like last week or 30 years ago? Like these things that want to get out, and it's just interesting how it shows up. So that just makes perfect sense. And that's love.
You didn't seem like yourself in that post.
It was super interesting. So that's why I was just asking questions. I was like,
well, I also wanted to go really far with what I was saying. Like when I went out, when I posted that, I was committed to like going really far because I like the context of that group that has been created. So I wanted to kind of lead by example a little bit and be like, I'm going to get really into something.
Yeah, for sure.
Is to kind of like hold a flag up, like I'm here for real. And
if just to plug the group and what Dustin's talking about, the group is called First Wakeups Inner Circle. It's a group that I created. It's in conjunction with First Wakeups, my business. And the whole purpose of my business and like the reason we're kind of doing this is an extension of that as well, is to get on and help people share as authentically as possible. Like, you know, I mean, Madia mentioned, like, Dustin, how brave of you to share that, the story you just shared today, like on this call. Like, that's what we want to do. We want to create a space where people can step into that bravery and be as real as possible. And then again, we do this here as another like extension of that, so that we can kind of make this normal. And then once this vulnerability is just normal, like what next level of bravery can we step into after that? And we're not even going to be able to discover that until this is kind of a normal.
Mhm.
Like the four of us will be able to discover what that next layer is for us, like inside of this space. And then, yeah. And so it's just, yeah. So yeah, first Wake Up Inner Circle. It's on Facebook. Search it, ask for an invite, and we'll bring you in. If you are like ready to change your life, if you're ready, like don't more or less care like what people hear, or you're ready to at least step into that, like we're going for it in there. And the last couple weeks have been amazing. And just this morning, I started a 5-day challenge inside of the group. It's just like, it kind of discusses my process in coaching and whatever, but it's just like an opportunity for you to really, really check in with who you are and just begin that first step into who you really want to be, and like letting other people know that, so that other people can hold you capable of the things that you say you want to do. And there's no strings attached. The group's completely free. It's just come in, observe, share, do whatever you want. And just come on in. So first Wake Up Inner Circle. That's the last time. Thanks for bringing that up, Dustin. I
I
appreciate
think that's super valuable, at least in my experience, is having community, right? Community to make change in, community to be supported in, community, because we all, and I think that's the value of some of the sharing, is that people are like, oh, I'm the only one that goes through that, right? Like, how dumb is that? I mean, I do it to myself too, right? Like, it's only my problem. And it's like, chances are there's several other million, maybe even billion people that have a similar struggle. But we get sort of locked into our own stories. So I'm glad that you created that group, Ryan. And I think that's extremely valuable, right? For people, back to what we're harping on, or what I'm harping on with the New Year's resolution. Like, you're not just going to wake up tomorrow and make a different choice on your own that's going to be sustainable. Maybe you will, maybe a few people are, but based on statistics, most people don't, right? You have a good run at it. And I like to think of it, I was actually on a call earlier today explaining to a gentleman the value of the team that I'm a part of. And I said, I like to think of it like the good type of peer pressure, right? Because I will fall in, like, if we want to go like shot for shot or bong rip for bong rip or whatever we're doing, like, I'm on that train too. But if we're also like want to go in terms of like personal transformation, and not in a competitive way, but there's a nature inside of us, and maybe it's more guys than women. I don't know. I can't speak for that. But like, for me, there's that nature that like, I'm going to absorb whatever I'm around. And so I found a way to position myself to be in multiple circles and groups, right? To absorb what I think is going to benefit me in my life, and not as many groups that's probably just going to leave me with a hangover the next morning.
Mm-hmm. That's so huge. Perfect. Right there. We talk. I'm in a couple of Facebook groups, and I'm only in a couple, because it's just like Tanner said. Like, do they bring you? Do they help? Are they effectively helping you towards the things you want in your life, or are they effectively helping you towards the things that you don't want in your life? And it's like, and there's a whole bunch of ways you can check in with this. Like, look at the Facebook groups you're in, or look at the last 5 text messages that were sent you. Are those people, like, are they on your team? Check in with what team means for you. Do they uplift you? Like, when Dustin like sends his messages, I'm like texting him afterwards, like, hey man, maybe it's time we need to have like a private conversation. Like, I said that to him yesterday. I was like, I see you out there. It's like, let's go have a talk. Like, what's going on?
When you sent me that, I was in like the greatest mood ever. So I was like, sure, let's do it.
Yeah. But it's like the reason I hang out with people like Dustin and Darren and Tanner, because they, without hesitation, will be like, hey man, you're full of shit. This isn't who you say you really want to be. And they will check me quick. And the more I do that, the more people like this I want in my life, because, you know, I love the direction it's going. And the direction it was going 5 years ago was to, like, you know, Suicidesville, which is
totally
extra whack, you know? And so it's just, and so just, that's an example of the kind of stuff that I want to bring into the group. like whether it's here or on Facebook or in my kitchen. Like these are the kind of conversations I want to have. I play Dungeons and Dragons on the weekend, as you guys all know. This guy calls me up. He's like, "Hey man, I'm just like kind of had this conversation with my mom. Like I'm really bummed out. Like he was gonna give me a ride. He's like, I think I'm just gonna drop you off and kind of bow out." I was like, "Hey man, why don't we have a conversation? And then, and then like when we get to the drop off, we'll make that decision like then." And it was just, he's like, I don't want to take advantage of you, but I'm going to like share this stuff. You're not taking advantage of me. If I say, "Hey man, I want to hear your stuff," I'm inviting that in myself. There's nothing in like that metaphor is like, there's nothing emotionally that you can take from me unless I give it to you. You just can. And if the perception of taking is involved, like both people are involved in that, whoever's in the relationship, somebody's standing next to the person who's just engulfing with no reciprocation. Like you're continuing to stand that. So you're just as responsible. And so really, really this New Year's, when you're discussing the things that you want to accomplish, or on the second, when you fail on the first and you want to rehab this conversation, check into your relationships, like whether it's people or your cell phone or your diet or whatever it is at all, like check into all that stuff and be honest with yourself. Like, is this a good relationship? And it's just yes or no. And I know Justin and I got into like the infinite shades of gray and whether you blow it up or whatever. Like, yes, there's a gray scale and it's a sliding scale for each 4 people. Like my yes is not Tanner's yes. It's different because we're different people and we have different goals. We have different things that we're moving towards. But really, really, really check in with that. And then, start like cutting the ends off the roast in a good way. Like, oh, I don't need these parts. It's just whatever. It's kind of brown anyways. Whatever. I don't know. So that's my rant.
Cutting chicken now.
Yeah, nice. Cutting the ends off the chicken.
I know. Yeah, exactly. Cutting the fat off the thighs, actually.
Why?
Well, it's going to go in the soup. You'll eat it later. I'll appreciate it. One of the things you brought up, Ryan, that triggered me a little bit that's been on my mind as well is similar but different. People apologizing for themselves, right? Like in that case, you're making an offer. Hey, let's take a ride. I want to hear you out. I want to help you. I don't know. I don't want to bother you. I don't want to take your time. I don't want to take advantage of you, whatever the case is. And I literally, I can count, not on one hand, but on both hands in the last week, maybe even 4 days, messages that we've gotten from people that end with an apology. Oh, sorry, I was so long-winded. Oh, hate to bother you. Sorry, hope this is okay. So, like da, 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 here's my heart. Here's where I'm at. Here's what I want in my life. Sorry, I just shared that with you. And I'm like, don't do that to yourself, right? I understand where it comes from, and I catch myself sometimes apologize, like, here's this, and then I catch myself. But what I've learned, like, you're diminishing your value, right? Like, it's up to me to determine, like, if that was a really long ass message and I don't respond to you, or I say, wow, that was a really long message, then you probably get the point that, like, that was my perception. But in the most cases, I'm like, right, thanks for reaching out. Thanks for sharing your heart. Thanks for being honest. And if you've got 6 paragraphs in order to get it out of your body, like, I'm okay with that. I'm long-winded too. But I think that's a huge thing for me right now is, like, just don't apologize. Like, we so mixed with, if you're in the wrong, my wife's in the background about ready to chime in because I'm not always the best at apologizing because I believe, like, it's my actions, right? Like, I think we've become a sorry society where it's like, oh, sorry, I'm late. Sorry for that. And we just think it makes it okay versus acknowledging a wrongdoing or something that's not in integrity with your actions. There's a difference in that versus, like, here's who I am as a person, and if it's not okay with you, let me just forward my apology in advance, so hopefully you'll accept whatever I'm saying or whatever the perception is. So that's a big thing for me. Like, don't apologize. Don't give away your worth if you're just literally sharing something with somebody.
So a nice way to take control over that situation is the person who likes to throw the sorry out a lot. A way to mitigate that sorry is to make it a game and see how often you can turn that sorry into a thank you. Like at the end of that long paragraph, for example, instead of saying I'm sorry, saying thank you. Or walking in the door at the same time at a restaurant and you bump into each other. Instead of saying sorry, you just say thank you and scoot out of the way. Or excuse me, and walk through them. Whatever it works. But see how many times you can change sorry to thank you. And if you play with that and you start looking at that, you'll start to see how gratitude is such a more powerful thing at getting people to listen to what you're saying. And I just rant. Thank you for hearing that and having space for me. So the person who read that's going to be like, oh, they're grateful for what the amount of effort I just put in, instead of reading that and being like, oh, they're sorry for making you read that, or they're sorry for having that conversation with me. Like, but I don't want to fucking listen to you if you're sorry for saying that. But if you're grateful for me listening, I want to listen. I want to listen really, really hard so I can be there for you and be present for you, versus feeling like you need to apologize to me. I don't want to hear that shit at all.
I love that. That's great, right? Just the change in words. And I've found myself, like when I write something and I'm not sure how people are going to take it, I usually end with thanks for your consideration or thanks for whatever, right? I hadn't even really thought about that, but that, I guess, that has become my word or my way of being like, hey, thanks. Not sure how you're going to take it, but thanks for reading it. So I think that's phenomenal. Hopefully, are there people watching on Facebook? 10,000, 10,001?
It's 10. Let me look at the numbers. The numbers now is 32,000. This is our best video ever.
That's phenomenal. Yeah. It's helping a lot of people.
Yeah.
I love
We're
that.
helping a lot of people.
So funny.
So Dustin and I have been having this conversation for a while about like words and their value, and especially words like thank you, I'm sorry, you're welcome, and how they can, I guess, thank you. I don't know. I think we could tilt it either way, but like how, especially like you're welcome and I'm sorry is like such a form of manipulation. Yes. And it's just like, you're like, oh, I'm so sorry. I got hammered drunk and slapped you around last night. You know, it's just like, that's ridiculous. It doesn't change anything. Like, you're still a drunk, violent person. Like, it doesn't, like, you need to really check in with that. Like, and it's like, oh, well, he loves me. And I know this is a random and weird example, but it's just like, it's what came up. So it's just like really check in with what those words are doing and what the goal, what's the intent behind it? Like, what are you trying to do? Like, if you're, is like walking in when you're late. One of my favorite ones. Hey, I'd like to acknowledge, like you tell the group, hey, so sorry I'm late. It could instead look like I wanted to acknowledge to everybody that I'm late and I'm aware of that. That's it. There's no traffic.
Love hearing
There's no traffic. There wasn't something to do with my kids. My kid's leg didn't fall off. Like, I would like to acknowledge that it's 1:15. I was supposed to be here at 1, and then just let's carry on with the meeting. That's it.
And people love that.
Like, people love it because it takes the justification out of it. It just says, hey, this was supposed to be this, and it's this instead. I want to acknowledge that it's different. That's it. I want to acknowledge it. And then it opens up room for a new discussion on what you both want to accept in the relationship. You know, or I guess acceptance is, what's the other word? It doesn't matter.
Create.
Yeah, that's like the stuff that you want to, the stuff you want to create in the relationship instead. And so,
Yeah, so I have a great example of that. If you didn't know, we missed our flight on New Year's or Christmas Eve. And I did a video about it. And, you know, so I had to call my dad. Hey, Dad, I missed a flight. We're booking it, rebook. We'll be down there later this evening, yada, yada. He's like, oh, okay. He's like, oh, what happened? Was it busier? Was there I was like, no, like I missed a flight. I didn't leave enough. I didn't leave enough time. Like, there's nobody's fault, nobody's excuse. This is my own issue. I'm sorry that it impacted you and that we're going to be late. Oh, okay, you know, it's fine. And then I talked to my aunt. She's like, oh, what happened? Like, people almost immediately want to jump to like rescue me about why I missed my flight. And both my wife and I were really clear, like, this was our fault. Like, sure, there was more people at the airport than there is on a random Tuesday morning, but it's Christmas Eve. We probably could have planned for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's such a freeing experience just to be like, hey, like, I screwed up. This is my thing. Nobody else's fault. Sure, it's unfortunate. I got a message. I got to air this out because I'm talking about it. I was going to blast this woman's message on Facebook, but I opted not to. I woke up Christmas morning from a woman that's actually, she has no profile picture. I have no idea what she looks like. All I know is that all the mutual friends are based on the common connection that we have through personal development. She lives here in Denver. And she's like, I just want you to know how selfish I think you are for making your family wait in the airport all day because of your fetish to like blah, 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 and all this stuff. And I was like, and then it was like, Merry Christmas. Hopefully you don't unfriend me. Merry Christmas, right? There's like apology at the end.
Thank you for your time.
And I responded and was like, at first I was just like, Merry Christmas, right? I was sort of pissed. I was like, Merry Christmas. And then I was like, whoa, hold on. I don't want to just blow that off. And so I was like, just so you know, like, I didn't post about this to brag or because I have a fetish or some ego-driven thing. Like, I'm learning out loud in my life, and an issue that I've had through my entire life has caught up with me a few times, and I'm sharing that because I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one with that issue. And then I said, I hope that you, or I wish you, growth and transparency in your journey or something like that. I just had to get that off my chest, though, because that was super, super interesting experience. And the fact that, like, people want to rescue and, like, put their sort of own circumstances on your situation. And if you're not careful, you can absorb those really quick. And that's why for us, we wanted to be like, nobody's fault but our own. This is entirely our issue. We apologize for the downstream impact it had. What else? And the other thing that I found, particularly in corporate America, is when you're the first person to raise your hand and say, I screwed up, it's really difficult to be upset with that person. Like, I had something just a couple of weeks ago that was kind of a big thing that slipped through the cracks, and I like yelled it from the rooftop. I was like, hey, I screwed up. This is a thing that happened. Let me know if you have any questions. Nobody had any questions. They're like, oh, okay, thanks. It's fixed. It's handled. You got a plan to hit? Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool, right? But if you try to cover things up and make excuses and you go down that path and then you're sort of living different stories to different people, that's really, really uncomfortable. And at some point that catches up with you.
So I do this thing where it's like a competition that I'm in with myself. And every time that I make a mistake or I fuck something up or I find out that I'm totally wrong, I like to be the first person to acknowledge it. And so I keep that a race for me where I go above and beyond to acknowledge it before anyone else can even say it or see it or hear it. And this makes it like a really empowering experience for me versus like hiding this thing like you're talking about, hiding it. I'm the first one in the room to be like, hey, I just did this thing and it was totally wrong and this building's on fire and it's all my fault. And what are we going to do now?
Yeah, like how do you guys want to rebuild this building?
Yeah,
what steps
are we going to take?
Yeah, or do you guys want to continue to be in the building? I guess that's two words in a row that mean different things slightly. The building relationship with me. Do you want to continue this relationship after this mistake? Is this something we can get past? I want to get past it. Do you want to get past it? And so I think one of the things we can something that Tanner said brought this up, like when we're doing these, we're noticing ourselves activated in these relationships that we have. Like, check in with which one of these roles are you playing? Are you the perpetrator? Are you the victim? Or are you the rescuer? And like, that's really, there's one other role, and this is like a discussion that I think we could continue in a future talk that I think you could play. And it's like, which of those roles are you playing? And is that role currently serving your biggest, like your New Year's resolution or whatever it is? And does it connect to everything else and in a way that's effective for your life? And then when you notice you're playing one of those roles, how can you step back and be an observer of yourself and the people around you to see like the commonalities and the themes that happened? Oh, well, the same thing as like Tanner said, like this is a habit of mine that led to this event, and now I'm acknowledging it and I want to get it out in this space so people can see that, we're trying to get better. So I don't know. This was fun. This is the best New Year's I've ever had.
It's always fun, man. This is my character,
this is fun. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I'm glad we made time to make it work.
Heck
yeah. No, this is perfect. I think this is perfect. And this was.
We need some XX chromosomes on this fucking screen next week.
Yeah, we do. So yeah, for sure. Actually, on the 28th, I got two ladies. Darren, Tanner, you're out.
It's fine.
I got two ladies coming in that week.
Oh, that's actually great because I'll be on a boat the last week of January.
Yeah, with your board shorts.
Divine timing, brother.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
Wait,
all right. So yeah,
the 28th of January.
Yes, sir.
Sick.
Is that a Monday?
I hope so.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's the 28th.
Yeah,
it's one of those days. Anyways, my beautiful wife, McCare, hi, how are you, is watching this video and waiting for me in the garage. So I'm going to bid you all adieu. And in association with the first Wakeups and Whole Mood and Darren and Tanner's beautiful. God, your guys' beards are regal. I love them. Darren's wins, hands down. It's all good. All right, everybody who jumped in to watch today, thank you so much. Thank you, McCare. This is a professionally constructed studio. McCare actually helped me design and decorate. And I appreciate you for saying that. Yeah, it's definitely not just a corner of my room where some stuff's jammed into. looks prettier than it is on camera. And we'll see you guys next week for sure. We will be back again on I think it's the 6th of January to talk about more stuff that we don't think is weird, but we like the title weird, and we're kind of playing with that to see what it is. Happy New Year, everybody. Any last save rounds or alibis from any of you guys? Dustin, Darren, Tanner?
Well, the whole universe is fucking weird. So if you're not weird, you're not part of the universe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Try
Tomorrow
not being
is
part
still
of the
your
universe.
life.
It is.
Just a different day on the calendar.
It's just a different day.
And an opportunity to make a new choice every day.
Mm-hmm.
Thank
Heck
you.
yes. Right on.
Yep.
All right. I'll talk to you guys all soon.
Shuffling. Okay, gotta go. You gotta go too.
Oh man,
see
the
you in a
character
few
can't
hours,
grow a
Tanner.
beard. I'll see you guys later.
Grow a beard.
See you guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.